Hey YouTube, this is Ben Gessel. How's it going? I'm gonna make a video here about my current diet, but more in a way that I haven't really talked about so much. And again, different angles and things. And a lot of what I'm gonna say, I think you guys are probably dealing with on some level as well, of course. Um, I'll be talking about not only diet and food, but also nutrition, but also grocery stores and thoughts about those kinds of things. Um, and many other kinds of things associated with that. So let's jump into this right now. Um, and so I'll be kind of maybe it's a semi venting kind of thing about some foods that I try to get, but just don't always have the wherewithal to just eat after a busy day. So, but before I mention the things I get at grocery stores, I'm going to mention just the top foods I get at restaurants or places outside of home where I eat. And those basically tend to be some kind of Indian or Persian restaurant. So often rice and a little bit of lamb or chicken, some spices, that sort of thing. A little less often there, but definitely those guys definitely. Um, some other things like that. There's a kind of a South American taco truck I sometimes go to get their stuff. They have really good. I don't know what they call them, tapas. Of course, chimichangas, but South American style. So avocado and cilantro and a green chili sauce and all that kind of stuff. Um, so I mentioned East Asian a little bit. Definitely, it's sushi, pork or beef yakisoba, beef bulgogi, egg drop soup, um, kalbi beef, Peking duck, that kind of stuff. But definitely, sushi is here and there when I can, have it in my budget. Sushi is awesome, just awesome. So let's get into some of the stuff I'm getting at grocery stores then, here and there. So the first things I'm going to mention tend to get more of, but it's always hard to say exactly how much I'm getting of what. Um, but organic oranges right now are really, really great. Um, the thing about oranges is that they always taste really good and they're really convenient, kind of refreshing, boost your energy. They're fairly cheap and they're available basically almost year round, and they have lots of fiber. So I mean, like it's just a no-brainer. Oranges are always on my list, almost always on my list, unless I have a lot of berries in the summer. Then I might forego the oranges, but oranges are almost always on my list. Organic dark skinless chicken, turkey. Last year, yes, but turkey is less of a priority right now. I just it's only available more at some certain grocery stores, but kind of a middling price for the organic stuff. It's not super expensive, which is nice. And then it's filling, it's versatile, it's available. Um, Frozen organic corn, it's fairly cheap, energy boosting. Put it in the freezer, it's very durable, and it tastes pretty good. Frozen cauliflower, that's organic. It's healthy, not too bad of a taste. Peanuts in shell, they're cheap. Get a bunch of them for not too much. They're filling, they're tasty, healthy, have lots of fiber. Organic Honeycrisp apples, or just it could be other types of apples, just not the super cheap, red, delicious ones that don't, or just kind of taste like nothing. But fiber, they have a lot of fiber. They're convenient, they're tasty, refreshing, fairly cheap, um, durable, kind of for especially for fruit. Middling price, and they're available throughout the year for the most part, especially in the fall and winter, that sort of thing. Um, yeah, apples are like oranges that way. Frozen broccoli, it's organic, it's very healthy, it has lots of fiber, it's cheap. The taste is tolerable too. It's not too bad. It's okay. Wild caught salmon, it's healthy, fairly filling. It's kind of a little bit more. It's like middling. I'm able to get it for I think a little bit less expensive stuff for the wild caught stuff. At least at QFC, a little bit less expensive than at PCC, but And it's not too bad of taste. It's pretty good taste, especially with tartar sauce. Pasture-raised eggs, healthy, fairly filling, fairly cheap or to middling price. Um, Organic gold potatoes, healthy, fairly filling, cheap, available throughout the year, durable, tastes good, have lots of fiber and complex carbs. Um, Sweet yellow onions, healthy, tasty, lots of fiber. They're available year round, very cheap. One of the cheapest things I get is onion, sweet yellow onion, especially. Other types as well, sometimes too. But so tri-tip beefsteak, I'm going to probably be getting less beef this month. It's fairly healthy, filling, of course, tasty and satisfying. But yeah, I'm gonna be this next month not getting as much beef. Avocados, healthy, convenient, very filling, lots of fiber, and they're kind of middling in price. I'm able to get recently avocados, even organic ones, I think, for $2 each, and they're actually pretty decent sized. Those, not the small ones. So that's the large avocados. That's a pretty good deal, I think. Frozen green beans, organic. Uh, they're healthy, lots of fiber, cheap, and they're okay tasting. I like the taste of green beans. Fine. Organic Bartlett pears are available most of the year or year round. Refreshing, healthy, they're fairly cheap, convenient, and they're tasty. Some kinds of grapes, some kind of grapes, right? Whether it's red, purple, green, whatever. Um, Try to get them organic. They're available most of the year or year round. Refreshing, healthy, they're energy boosting, middling price generally. Sometimes you can get a little bit cheaper, but they're middling price, convenient and tasty. Organic bananas are available year round, very cheap. One of the cheapest things I buy, other than onions or bananas. They're healthy, energy boosting, and but they're less durable. Is the thing. That's one of the only downsides of bananas is that they don't last for all that long. You have to eat them. Hot cocoa is available year round. It's somewhat less healthy. This is one of my indulgences. Is hot cocoa. It's tasty, convenient, fairly filling, and fairly cheap. 100% grape juice. It's available year round. It's very tasty to me. Uh, Fairly healthy as long as you watch how much of it you drink, I suppose. But the bioflavonoids or phytonutrients or whatever stuff that makes that nice dark purpley pigment, right? It's great for you. Convenient. It's fairly cheap. Not too bad, right? Cheap to middling, and quite refreshing. Mango. It's available throughout the year, I think. It's healthy, somewhat filling. I've been on this mango thing recently, I think. So filling, energy boosting, tasty, somewhat durable in the fridge. Well, you want to ripen it just like you want just like a nectarine. You want to ripen it outside the fridge. Nectarines or avocados, same deal. Then when it gets ripe, you put it back in the fridge. And the key is, I think, with mangoes is knowing when that's at, and you have to be able to it has to be able to give just a little bit, just like an avocado or nectarine when you squeeze a little bit. And it's very refreshing, of course. Orange juice with calcium and vitamin D. A lot of folks say juice is not so great for you. It just depends on how much you're drinking of it, and it's easy to overdo it. But it's tasty. It's available throughout the year. Again, it has great nutrients. Refreshing, somewhat healthy, and fairly cheap. Somewhat durable, actually, especially if it's in the fridge. So it's nice to have some orange juice in hand. Noon juice tablets to cut down that sugar a little bit. My favorite flavors right now are the orange, tri-berry, and lemon lime flavors. There's maybe a few others. I like the strawberry lemonade, but it's healthy, it's durable, middling price, fairly tasty, and it's available year round again. Organic celery. It's available year round. It's convenient. It's healthy. It is perishable. It's very cheap, but it's only okay tasting. So it's not always the most appetizing food for me. But anyway, celery. Organic red potatoes. Durable, healthy, cheap. It's available year round. Lots of fiber, complex carbs, which are good for you. And I must admit, also in addition to Indian and Persian food, South American taco truck fried food and East Asian foods. I also like. There's a hamburger place around here, Dick's Hamburgers or Dick's Special Hamburgers. The hamburger I get is the special. and it has some relish and something else in there that's really good, like mayonnaise. But it's some kind of special mayonnaise, not just mayonnaise, but along with the burger and stuff. Of course, it's less healthy. It's cheap. It's dirt cheap, actually. It's filling and tasty, so it's one of my indulgences. But I don't get it all that often, but not too often. Frozen spinach. It's healthy, okay tasting kind of fiber, lots of fiber. It's cheap. It's durable. The oxalate issue is it can be an issue in larger amounts, so you might maybe alternate with Swiss chard and spinach back and forth with beets on occasion. Pistachios in shell. They're healthy, fairly filling, middling price. A little bit more depending on where you're getting it. Durable. It's fairly tasty. It's available again year round. Trader Joe's Morello cherries. They're available year round, by the way. As far as no health, they're healthy as long as you don't overdo it with the sugar. Fairly filling, fairly cheap. Fairly cheap. It's like middling. It's not that expensive. Very tasty though. Very, 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 very tasty. Might be a highlight of your meal, depending on how you're eating it. But a lot of folks just think about pastries, putting on pastries. Nah, don't even worry about that. Just eat it right out of the jar. Crab cakes. They are expensive. The most expensive things they get along with sushi. They are healthy though. Perishable in fridge. You have to eat them pretty quick. Somewhat filling, right? It's more filling than you might think. Tasty, somewhat, right? But we eat it more for the kind of combination of nutrition and a little bit of taste. But it's more, I think, just the way you feel after you eat a crab cake. It's it's better. You feel better than if you have something like super heavy, and it's available, year round. Limes, definitely get some of those. Sometimes healthy, very cheap, fairly perishable, of course, not as much as some fruits. Tasty and refreshing. Lemons, healthy, cheap, fairly perishable, tasty and refreshing also. Meyer lemons, similar deal. Organic carrots, they're healthy, cheap, perishable, somewhat perishable, not as much as some, but vegetables, but they're only okay tasting, lots of fiber though, and they're very convenient. Just like the limes, lemons, and stuff. And Trader Joe's cherry juice is fairly healthy, as long as you don't overdo it. Middling price, very tasty, of course. One of the tastiest things I consume. um, yeah, probably top five, maybe tastiest stuff. It's very durable in the fridge. It's fairly filling. A lot of sugar, so you have to be careful how much you drink of it, and it's convenient. But cherry juice is going to be probably better off. You're better off with cherry juice than you are with even like mango or pineapple juice. It can get really sugary, even if it's 100% fruit. Almonds, healthy, fairly cheap to middling price, fairly tasty, durable, fairly filling, fiber, a lot of fiber in almonds. They're available year round and they're convenient. Berries. Now berries, again, as mentioned before, I'll get them more in the summer. Sometimes I'll get frozen berries. So strawberries, blueberries, blackberries, raspberries, and of course I mentioned cherries already, but all those kinds of berries, they're always on my grocery list in the summer. It's lots of fiber, very, very tasty, healthy, middling in price, more or less. Some get a little more expensive than others, but they're always cheaper in the summer. Very perishable though. You have to don't get too much at once, so you make sure you can get through all your stuff before it goes bad. Somewhat filling, they have with the sugar and fiber. But yeah, sugar content mostly. Of course, I'll get them in the summer. Pumpkin seeds are healthy, fairly cheap, durable. They're available year round, and they're convenient. Pure water filters, I'll get those, of course, less often. But when I do get them, they last. I'm always drinking water, so I go through my water filters definitely. They are important, I think, to have if you're getting water from tap, and then fairly cheap for how long you can use them. Um, I can't remember what the price is, but so you can get, I think, for about vicinity of 20 to 25 bucks, right in that range. You can get 3 water filters, and each of those water filters should last you almost 2 months, about 2 months. But by the 2 month mark, though, you need to replace it. And just a question of how long. You can definitely go for a month without having to with having great water or great tasting water. So, consider that how you will with regard to how expensive you think it should be to have purified water, that sort of thing. But there are other systems, of course, out there. I've heard of like Brita and other things that are even more high techy or whatever. Pork, very filling, somewhat healthy, in my opinion. Maybe not as much as some of these guys, but it's definitely very filling. It has a lot of minerals to it. Uh, Middling to fairly cheap price. It's one of the advantages of pork, and it's very tasty. Now, I actually went for about almost basically a whole year without eating any pork whatsoever. Same thing with licorice, and so I think it did my body good. So pork is something that I think you don't want to get too much of. If you do get a lot of it, you have to probably cut down on the beef. It's one or the other, I think. And some folks really can't have either, and or at least they shouldn't. I know. So going on here, uncured bacon, kind of like pork. It's extremely tasty. In my opinion, one of the tastiest things on here, but I just don't get it very often because, of course, it's less healthy. Very filling, cooks quickly, which is one of the advantages. It's available year round. Um, High salt, right? So that's not so good. Well, it has up to a point, but it has a lot of salt to it. Sunflower seeds, healthy, fairly filling. I should say very healthy. They are very healthy, and they're very convenient. Just to make sure you're eating your seeds and nuts because they can go bad after a while. Grass-fed ground beef. I'll get that on occasion, not all that often. It's healthier than regular beef, so it's always an option. And PCC Natural Markets always had more grass. They always had more grass-fed steaks, and they had more turkey, but they were more expensive. So it's a trade-off, I guess. But anyway, grass-fed ground beef, of course, is filling. It's more expensive. It's true. Um, Green onions, healthy, fairly tasty, perishable. You have to actually eat that stuff. Make sure you eat it. Cheap, flavorful, and available year round. Of course, sometimes more in the summer, spring, summer, especially summer. I'll get nectarines, and nectarines, of course, are healthy, very tasty. They can be perishable somewhat. At least just keep an eye on them. They need to ripen outside the fridge. Then when you put them in the fridge, you have to make sure that you eat them within not too long a period of time. But they are fairly cheap. They're available. They will be more available soon, I think. Pineapple is available year round, of course, but it's just kind of like harder to eat a whole pineapple on your own. It's very, you know, yeah, pineapple is its own kind of thing, and it's a similar deal. I suppose if you guys like honeydew or cantaloupe, you could probably get one of those yourself. But watermelon's more for like families or for if you're sharing it. It's almost unless you absolutely love watermelon, it's hard to get through a whole watermelon. I think on your own. But anyway, but so I don't really buy melons very much, or pineapple less often recently. But so cashews are very filling, healthy, durable, middling to a little bit more expensive, available year round, and pretty convenient, very convenient. So I wanted to wrap up, I guess, this train of thought by saying, guess definitely, guys, leave me thoughts and comments below about this stuff. Um, the most expensive foods are basically that I tend to buy. That I tend to buy are fish, probably followed by like pistachio, cashew type nuts, or maybe walnuts. Walnuts will get sometimes too, but fish and nuts are both very healthy for you. So I think everybody should be able to afford getting some fish and nuts and also berries, especially in the summer. And so, and red meat isn't as good for you in general, but it's not terrible for you. Um, so might be a fourth type of food is the red meat and fish and nuts and berries. I wish those foods were less expensive for all of us. So I think that again, Trader Joe's is the place to go to for nuts and seeds. I did mention spices in this list too, by the way. I do get, I have spices list and herbs. That's maybe not as different kind of thing. It's just for more for flavor, but for berries and fish and meat, farmers markets are the best place for berries. Still, in my opinion, at least in the temperate regions, and it depends on where you live. But yeah, farmers markets, and then I could go to a premium store like PCC again for berries, but they really charge you, and unless you get 10% off. And then for fish and meat, I found that I get great quality fish at QFC. I'm just fine with QFC's fish. Meat, I just eat less often in general. So I continue to be very picky with regard to meat. I mean, really, I am. So it's kind of like I'll have to give you guys more info as I kind of keep trying different meat from different places, but it is a little bit hit and miss because a lot of times butchers, meat is just it's perishable, kind of. It's like fruit and vegetables, and so and gosh, when it comes to beef, there's a certain flavor of beef that I like. Grass-fed beef, I just had so much of it that that real. There's anyway. I'll have to mention more of that later, but yeah, pork. Pork tends to do better in some respects, flavor-wise. I think with the sweeter kinds of corn-fed stuff, or whatever. It tends to go over better with pork than it does beef. Anyway, I have to wrap this video. Leave me thoughts and comments below. Catch you guys later. Take care. Bye.